So, got the frame back to the house, and I'm just still waiting on parts for the axles. But here's the axles all painted up. That's the rear, differential parts, front axle, and let's see, here's the frame. Frame's all sitting here up on jack stands. I've got the front springs mounted permanently. Got a couple brackets here and there mounted and ready to go. I've got the transfer case bracket right there. Got it mounted. I'm working on the other one, cleaning it up, and then I'll paint it, and then I'll be able to mount it. Got the motor mounts. Here's the motor mounts. They're ready to go. I'm just waiting on, I've got the bushings, but I'm waiting on the bolts. I'm trying to find out if I need specific bolts, or if I can use bolts from like a hardware store. So we'll figure that out. Okay, shock absorber time. So these are a big mess. The front ones are all greasy because there was lots of engine oil leaking and stuff up front, so I can tell which ones are the front. Well, and the arms are also different, so they're specific to the front and rear. So let me show you real quick here if I can get the camera in a good spot. So you can see here, this moves pretty freely. These are knee action shocks, and it moves nice and smooth. On this one, I had one of them that was locked up, but basically it's just fluid. There's an oil that goes inside the cylinder, and it's almost like a brake cylinder. And so as the shock moves one direction, it just has resistance in the way and how fast the fluid can flow back and forth. So that's how those work. All these three are okay. Don't know if they leak or if they actually need to be rebuilt or not, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean them up real good, paint them, fill them with fluid when I put them on, after I put them on the vehicle. I've got new little bushings for the arms and these tie rods here, and just go with that. If for some reason they start to leak real bad or something goes wrong, to rebuild them, they're pretty expensive. I think they're probably around 250 bucks. Don't even know if I can get a rebuild kit for the internals, because there's a few internals, like right here, these little tiny springs and C-clips and stuff like that, and then there's a seal for the cap. Those caps there are the ones that I took off of the other one that was frozen up. It was just dried up and frozen, so dug all the gunk out of it and brought it over here to the vise, and I got it moving, so it finally is free. It does not move easy, so I'm letting some penetrating oil just soak in there. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. But the funny thing is, these trucks, the leaf springs are so stiff on the trucks to begin with that I don't think these shocks even do anything unless you were to hit a real big bump or you were off-roading it. So my choices are to throw them back on, possibly without even rebuilding them. If they don't leak and they function, great. If they leak real bad or they're not functioning properly, then most likely what I'll do is either spend the $1,000 on all four shocks to get them totally rebuilt, or find new ones, or I've heard because they don't really function so much unless you're really off-roading it, I think you can take some of the internals out, so there's no, or the fluid out maybe, and just let them freewheel and not actually function as a shock, but it still looks like the truck has the proper shocks on. Alright, some sandblasting. going to be a little noisy, so you're just going to watch me for a sec. Pretty cool watching these old part numbers and made in the USA kind of come out when I'm blasting stuff. But the reason I showed you that is just because this is what I've been doing with absolutely every single piece and part, nut, bolt, everything of this truck. Anything that'll fit in my blast cabinet, I'm blasting. Otherwise, I'm wire wheel stripping it, or send like the frame I sent out to the sandblasters. You know, a different outfit. But yeah, every teeny tiny little part out here in my little shed, blasting away, killing my wrists, hurting my neck. But that's what you got to do. Taking it all the way down to bare metal, cleaning it up, and priming it and painting it. So I'll show you when I'm finished. All media blasted up. Pretty cool. It says Delco, made in Dayton. A lot of this stuff was made in Dayton. Look, I got the back shocks done. You can see they're all mounted, looking good. Waiting for springs and the axle. I've got the front axle housing mounted. I decided to go ahead and mount it. I got to get some bolts for here, for those U-bolts, and then we're bolted up over here. As soon as I get these bushings into these shocks, I'll get the shocks mounted on the front. Still waiting on parts to show up, so I'm just doing what I can until all the gaskets and bearings and all that stuff and springs for the back and all that kind of stuff shows up. I did find out that the steering box was shot, so I had to get a whole new old stock steering box. Yeah, it's got that same stuff on it. I'm not sure why I can't remember what this stuff's called, but you just melt it off. So I'll get this off with the razor blade here because I think that'll come off. But yeah, I'll just have to torch this whole thing. But that's a brand new old stock steering box. Here's the tag. Don't see anything on the tag, but there's this, which is kind of cool. It says Dodge. I'm not sure what else, some kind of number. It's all covered in that same stuff to prevent rust. That's a pretty cool little tag. Might put them on a keychain. So that's where I'm at. I took this big chunk of Cosmoline right off of here, right off the spline shaft and the nut. The nuts here, the lock washer. That's just crazy. This could be anywhere from, like, I don't know, 50 to 80 years old that it's been, you know, covered up in Cosmoline. So I'm going to melt all this Cosmoline off. There's another little bit of a cap right up here to protect those splines for the steering wheel. I'm trying to peel this one off right now. It's pretty stuck on there, but let's see if I can grab a... I'm going to try to hold the camera in one hand and slice this with the other. But I kind of started to slice it. There's a little better. Let's see if it... There it goes. Sticky. That's why I'm peeling the big thick pieces off, because I don't want to melt them down into just straight liquid. That protects stuff from getting down into there. Pretty interesting way to protect things from back then, I guess. And you had to, I don't know, I assume they'd take a torch to it to melt them off back then too. I haven't really done any research on it, but I know that's one way you can get cosmoline off. Ugh. It's super sticky. Oh sweet, there's a nut under there too for the steering wheel. Looks like a keyway, so I'll have to get a Woodruff key to go in there, because I'm assuming there's no key stuck in here. I don't see one. Yeah, no, there's no key. So I'll have to get a Woodruff key for that, but that is cool. So I'm going to just start by going a little bit at a time. Hit it with a torch. See, it melts. It actually cools off and solidifies really fast. So I'll just go with some rags. Yeah, so I don't know if you can hear it popping. I don't know if acetone will help clean this off or not. It actually comes pretty clean, but I might still hit it with acetone after after I get the worst of it off. But see how nice and shiny, brand new that nut is there? Pretty sweet. It really truly protects this stuff pretty good. Pretty amazing. I hit that time there. Just try not to burn myself. Now, some people are used to this kind of stuff because they rebuild old vehicles, but this is my first time, and I just think this is so cool. Really neat, you know, unveiling this stuff that's been covered up for God knows how many years. Back when America was America and we really truly had to get together, come together and not be divided like we are now. We had to come together to win the war against some really bad stuff. Didn't matter what your political party or anything, everybody came together and built what they had to build and make it work and make it win. It's like wax. That's pretty much probably what it is. Cool. Well, I'm going to strip the whole rest of this thing, and then I'll show you a shot of when it's all shiny, brand new. Alright, that was a sticky, icky mess, but it's clean. So what I ended up doing is I heated with the torch as much as I could to get it to drip off. Drip as much off as possible, but that definitely doesn't take it all off. And I found that WD-40 took it off. So amazingly enough, I got WD-40 took the majority of the rest of the cosmoline off, and then I hit it with brake cleaner and some acetone and mineral spirits, and tried a few different things, but for the most part I got it. There's a few little spots here and there, but I just got done using brake cleaner and wire brush over the whole thing, because it was actually painted. It was painted with the dark army olive drab, but definitely doesn't match you know, the paint that I'm doing. So used a wire brush and brake cleaner, got it super clean. I'm going to wipe it down 2 more times with acetone, and I think it'll be clean enough to paint. I think the paint will stick to it. Of course I'll prep it, you know, with some primer and stuff like that first, but I'll get it all painted up, and then I'll come back and show you. And I'll probably go ahead and mount it before I come back to video with it, so it'll be all painted and mounted up on the frame.